Welcome to On the Beat, where we bring you a different Buffalo Bills beat reporter every week, exclusively on the Overreaction Sports Network.
Well, what is going on, everybody? Welcome everybody into this episode of On the Beat, brought to you exclusively on the Overreaction Sports Network, presented by FanDuel, a show where we bring you a different Buffalo Bills beat reporter every single week to talk about the topics swirling around our beloved Buffalo Bills. My name is Joe Miller, and you can find me on Twitter at Joe Miller Wired. Please do us a favor. Please like, please subscribe, whatever platform you are consuming this production on right now, whether live, currently on YouTube, or in post as a podcast. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, leave us a comment, leave us a review, whatever you can do just to get our metrics and our numbers up. We always greatly appreciate it, but it is so good to have every single one of you joining us. Also joining us right now, one half of the Buffalo Shout podcast from Syracuse.com, friend of the show. He's on all the time. He's one of my favorite guests to interview. Ladies and gentlemen, Ryan Talbot. Ryan, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
It's hot out there, Ryan.
You're not kidding. Crazy summer.
I don't like to be that guy that complains about the heat in Buffalo because we don't get a lot of it, but this summer has been unrelenting. From like the time spring broke, our spring sucked. For those of you that aren't in Buffalo and don't know, it was cold and crappy and rainy. The nice days were only on Mondays, which was totally bizarre. Then the weather broke, and it was what? If it was 75, it was humid and sticky, like immediately. And now it's just insanely 85 to 90 degrees. Like, what is happening right now? Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, it's so funny. I just had the same conversation. I had an appointment today. I was talking about how hot it's been this summer, and the same thing. I hate the winter. I'm miserable with all the snow. I didn't want to complain, but here we are.
Complaining.
That's right. Yeah.
Dang it. You just can't get away from it. And not that it's absolutely abnormal. I mean, typically that first preseason game is sweltering. Sometimes I remember several home openers in early September. There was the one game, I don't remember which one it was, but like the stadium ran out of water, bottles of water because like it was so hot. I mean, it happens, but it's not every day. Like I haven't cut my grass in like 2.5 weeks.
Yeah, the last time I cut my grass, I was regretting it because I'm like, oh, I probably shouldn't, because you're right. It's been so dry and everything else. So it just sits there now until it's looking a little healthier.
Yeah, but got some interesting and fun stuff to talk about. We got Sean McDermott's press conference here on Tuesday, so we're going to talk a little bit about that. But before that, Ryan, did you know that finding great candidates to hire can be like trying to find a needle in a haystack? You get too many resumes and just not enough candidates with the right skills or experience, but not with ZipRecruiter, Ryan. ZipRecruiter finds amazing candidates for you, and they do it fast. And right now, you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/audio. ZipRecruiter's smart technology identifies top talent for your roles quickly, immediately after you post your job. ZipRecruiter's powerful matching technology starts showing you qualified people for that job. So do me a favor, ditch the other hiring sites. Let ZipRecruiter find what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack. 4 to 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get quality candidate within the first day. You can try it for free at this exclusive website. Again, ZipRecruiter.com/audio. One more time, ZipRecruiter.com/audio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. I'm guessing you're probably not looking to hire anybody, though. Are you, Ryan? Are you taking applications currently?
I'm not. That's above my pay grade. I think the company would be pretty upset if I said, hey, I just hired this guy or girl.
just to let you know, I just hired somebody. I needed an assistant,
right.
And I've decided that I'm going to make them an offer. That's really funny. That would be amazing if you did that. Like, I'm leveling up here, guys. I don't know what Matt's doing, but I'm leveling up.
I just celebrated the 10-year anniversary there. I mean, I think that probably would have ended my tenure if I tried to hire someone, but
super good. So off the top, probably the most important thing as it pertains to what is going on this week, today, kind of around camp or around practice, I should say, training camp and preseason. James Cook back on the field. Practice coach McDermott said that he expects him to practice today, which when I saw that tweet come out, I was like, wait, is this the expectation that I expect everybody to practice and he's not going to practice? Or is this I expect him to practice because we've talked and he practices? And lo and behold, he practiced. What can you tell us about that situation?
Yeah, I wish I could tell you the why behind it, but we really don't know. After the practice was over, media tried to talk with James Cook, and we were effectively told, or those in attendance were effectively told, not today. So we don't know where things stand. Obviously, no contract has been or extension has been signed. That would have been big news by now. But there must be some kind of middle ground that was reached. Sean McDermott talked about having another good conversation with James Cook, and he'd same thing on Saturday at the day before the preseason game, saying we talked. I wanted him to play. We agreed he'd at least suit up, do warm-ups. So their relationship, the bond that they have, it does seem that has maybe factored into this, but everything about this hold-in has been a little bit bizarre. And he participates at the start of training camp for like the first week, essentially, and then all of a sudden this hold-in begins, and he's suited up for the preseason game, but he's not actually playing, and then he's back all of a sudden today. So maybe within the next day or two, there is some extension reached, and they're just trying to finalize it right now, and that's why he was practicing. But everything about it has just been so different than what you see with typical hold-ins elsewhere.
Yeah, it's been, I think what's strange about it is John and Jerry, John specifically talks about it all the time, John Fina, that he has no leverage, which he does not. And I understand, and we've talked about it, not you and I, but everybody probably has. We've talked about it on this network. He sees the other guys getting done, right? So the other 3-year guys going into their final year of their rookie contract, Josh Allen going into the 5th year of his rookie contract, like guys, and they were talking to him, but they were obviously, for whatever reason, not miles apart. We don't know how far apart, but they were far enough apart that Bean was like, we're going to put this down for now. Interestingly enough, apparently it got picked up again, right? Which we assume is why he came to training camp and was practicing and didn't hold out. The thing to me is the whole, like, sit down with coach before the preseason game and be like, I'm going to warm up, but I'm not going to play. And right. I just, the patience that Sean McDermott, like at some point you're in your office, like with the door closed, wanting to pull your hair. Well, he doesn't have any hair, wanting to pull the hair of your beard out, I guess. And just kind of like, WTF, like, what are we doing here? Like either stand on business or don't. Right. Right.
Yeah. It should be one way or the other. And, Hard Knocks episode 2 is tonight. I'm expecting it to be very James Cook heavy. Yes. First week, obviously, I thought maybe they would sprinkle that in because they talked at this event, like 1 hour before it premiered, that they didn't submit the episode until 3 p.m. on Tuesday, that day. So I thought, that the start of the hold-in might be on there, but I guess you want to introduce the players and the background, just like anything else. But I think it'll be a very heavy James Cook episode, and maybe we'll get a little bit of that conversation. I doubt it, but you never know. And his thinking on this whole thing, because nothing about this has followed the guidelines of what you see in a typical hold-in. He does have no leverage. Let's face it, he has to play week 1 to get that accrued season if he wants to hit free agency. And at the same time, even if he plays X amount of games and then says, I'm not feeling 100%, I'm going to sit out this week, or list me as questionable, doubtful, that's going to hurt his long-term deal with another team potentially. I still think something potentially gets done here in Buffalo. I'm not closing the door on that. I don't want to make it sound like that, but he has to play this year. He is playing. If it's not for the Bills in terms of a big contract, it's get a big contract elsewhere.
Yeah, for sure. And it's as my speculatory mind kind of rambles and then clunks around in my own skull. I wonder, because if you look at the timing, and I'm not, so do you remember the first day that he was like, I'm sitting out. I'm not practicing this week or today. Was it Wednesday?
It was like a Tuesday or Wednesday. It was somewhere in that range.
I wonder, just spitballing. I wonder how much of it is because they're trying to leverage Hard Knocks and the publicity of Hard Knocks. Like Tuesday's episode comes out, he was barely kind of even in it. And then the idea or the conversation is had amongst his team. And you are connected to agents far more than I am. I have, other than Billy Connolly being interviewed on this network, I have zero connection to like agents. Is this a game that they could potentially play? Hey, you know what? You weren't even in that episode hardly at all. I don't know that his name was mentioned. Maybe it was. Let's make a move and let's get this into the spotlight.
Right. Yeah, and it absolutely could. And now that I'm trying to think of the date that it took place, because let's see, if it aired on Tuesday of last week, he was already slightly into that hold-in at that point. So maybe it was the week before, like late in the week before that. But yeah, absolutely. Extra cameras, extra attention on this team. It's a juicy storyline for the program. They can talk about all the accolades from last year, 16 rushing touchdowns, 18 total, his importance to the team, and try to go about it that way. I just don't think that's going to cause Brandon Beane to blink or say, man, we really got to get this guy signed. He has his negotiation tactics, just like players and agents do too. And the one thing I'll say about all the deals that he signed this offseason, when you look at them, Bernard, Shakir, Greg Rousseau, their values compared to other players and what other players are getting. Now, Rousseau's never had a double-digit sack season, but $20 million on average compared to what some of these guys are getting. Obviously, the upper echelon, $40-45 million. That means that next year, and then a tier down after that, you're probably talking $25-30 million, $35 million, depending on the player, and the Bills were able to get him at 20. Shakir came in at a deal. From the time James Cook made it be known that he wanted this deal, he was saying $15 million on social media, pinning the comments. Right. I don't think that helped, obviously, because then if you're not willing to budge on your number, the Bills aren't probably going to just magically jump up to yours.
Yep. And I was wrong. So it started Sunday, August 3rd, right? Okay. So 2 days before it came out. Yep. So I don't know that those timelines necessarily match up. And then we got the Kyron Williams information on Tuesday. To me, then I'm finding a level of credibility in this whole idea of coming back and practicing. And now I just can't. Now I'm trying to. Now my brain is back to like trying to make it make sense. Like, what is the point of showing up, sitting out a game, telling your coach you'll warm up but not play, obviously injury reasons, but still, and then deciding to come back? I just can't make it make sense. How is it leveraging guys like Ty Johnson, who looked electric on Saturday, and to be honest, always looks electric when he's got the football in his hands? Josh Allen, his quarterback, the best quarterback in the league at this point, the MVP of the league, said that he's the best third down running back in the game. This can't be giving the other guys opportunities. Ray Davis, who didn't have the best day on Saturday, but still, you're giving other guys chances.
Right. Yeah. You're giving them those opportunities and windows to show what they can do. And you look at last year, James Cook is out of action one game, and Ray Davis takes the ball, goes over 100 yards, and has a day, looks great. And before that, you're sitting there saying, man, I haven't seen much out of that rookie yet. And it's probably because of opportunities and not being able to get into a rhythm. And by the end of the year, it felt more like Ty Johnson was the number 2 back because he was doing third down duties. They trusted him a lot. But yeah, Ty Johnson is so far under the radar, but he does everything so well. He can block, obviously. That's why he's your third down guy. He catches the ball well out of the backfield. And when he runs the ball, he can do it between the tackles and outside of the tackles. It's not like he's just a one-dimensional back either. So he does everything at such a high level that I'm so impressed. Could the Bills get by with that 1-2 punch? Absolutely. But there are things that Cook obviously does, and the explosiveness and having that extra gear that they don't certainly helps him.
Yeah, for sure. And he's also a whole lot cheaper than but obviously, you're talking about a situation that hypothetically, James Cook plays this year, gets the $15 million that he wants someplace else, and Ty Johnson is probably going to command, maybe not next year, but at some point he's going to command a little bit of a higher salary, you would expect. Moving on to kind of the next big topic that happened at Coach's Presser today in regards to this week in training camp and preseason, shots fired across Cole Bishop's bow. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say shots fired, but I would say like this is you better get out there and take part in the next preseason game and every practice up until then, because it's getting late. It's getting really late for that safety job. And by all indications, the Bills wanted to give him the starting job opposite Taylor Rapp.
Right.
In the spring, he was in there early on, before training camp started, when the Bills had the mandatory mini camps. I loved everything I saw, the communication, the trust he had in himself in terms of knowing the system, the way he moved around the field. But the guy can't stay healthy. And the Bills, they have DeMar Hamlin waiting in the wings. And I know some fans will not love hearing that, but Hamlin knows the ins and outs of this system. He's been in it so long. He's trusted by this coaching staff. He's not the flashiest player. I've always said we know the ceiling and we know the floor on this player.
Yep.
We know exactly who he is, and he's good enough in this system. Bills fans were very spoiled for that period of time when it was Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde, two all-pro level talents playing safety. DeMar Hamlin is not that. He's not an all-pro level player, but he is a capable starter in this league. And when you have that and he's staying healthy, that gives him the leg up right now.
When you look at the Cole Bishop situation, and it's funny because I got into a little bit of a Twitter conversation with somebody that was like, well, Cole Bishop was never expected to start last year anyway. And I was like, I beg to differ. I don't think it was the plan to have DeMar Hamlin start coming off of what he came off of at all last year. Thank goodness he was a part of this team, but as much as they trust him, he's not going to be your number one choice at that position. It feels like, Cole, take the job, right? Go take it.
Yeah, last year there was an opportunity. Now, Sean McDermott has always said the one thing about rookies is they have to earn it. Yeah. You have to see that. And he's spoken to that this year, too. There were some guys that played very well on Saturday, one specifically being Jordan Hancock, where today he pretty much said, yeah, this guy's not even close to being ready to start for the team. And I think he didn't mean it that way. He meant because he has so much on his plate in terms of being able to play cornerback and safety, that they want to make sure that he's fully, full knowledge of the system and scheme and everything else. But that's kind of where they are with a lot of rookies. But Bishop had an opportunity last year. It's just he couldn't stay healthy.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. So the issues, you've been at more practices than I have, and I know that you're not at all the practices, but right. Matt is. Is it a situation where he's doing the Taron Johnson going 100,000 miles an hour when he doesn't need to be? Is he throwing his body around? What's causing the injuries? Is it just freak stuff? Like last year was the shoulder, right? He fell awkwardly and tweaked his shoulder. Right now it's a quad, I think, is what's going on.
Right. Yeah. I don't. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask, what's causing it? Like, what is it? Something he's doing or not doing, or?
I don't think it's that he's going 1,000 miles an hour. I think it's just kind of some bad luck, truth be told, because he was out there at times at camp and he was participating fully early on, moving around well, but it wasn't like he was out there pretending it was week one or a midseason game. It's just something lingered and bothered him. And it's been lingering, though, for a little bit too long. And everybody's body is different. I'm not sitting here saying that he could have gone earlier than this. He's finally now starting to be limited and ramp up a little bit. But when you're a young player, you need as much time out there as possible. We know that availability is so important to Sean McDermott in terms of getting on the field, and he's going to have to prove himself.
Yeah, and when you look at the depth chart, Taylor Rapp, DeMar Hamlin listed right now. Well, this is on ESPN. I guess I can look at the Bills depth chart. The Bills depth chart has Taylor Rapp, Cole Bishop actually as the starting safeties, which is interesting to me. DeMar Hamlin at 2, Cam Lewis, who had that dude just plays football. Cam Lewis had a great game on Buffalo, like not Buffalo native, but UB product, undrafted rookie free agent when he came in. Love Cam. Cam's a good dude. Actually know Cam. But there's not much behind that, right? I mean, there's there's an aspect of like it's and I don't know that they want to play Cam at safety. I think they want him more for a backup nickel. Yeah.
I mean, I think they want to have him as a utility player where if something pops up in game, you can play him in the spot of Taron Johnson, or you can put him in at safety. He's almost too good at what he does because it's costing him an opportunity to get more significant playing time, where he's that guy you want to be able to take off the bench if something happens at either position. But yeah, he's been impressive, and I like his game a lot. But they wanted it to be from day one, in my opinion, Rapp and Bishop. Bishop has made it very difficult for the Bills to do so.
Yeah, so he's another version of Ryan Bates, first guy off the bench at every position, but can't find a spot on the roster to play full time, which is super strange to me. It's like, I remember when Ryan Bates was here, it's like, that dude playing left guard isn't as good as him. Let him play left guard. Like, what are we doing right now? Well, he's the first guy off the bench. What does that mean? Move him if you got to move him, but play him.
I know. Like the whole roster reshuffling and not wanting to have to move two people around rather than one. And
right.
Interesting.
It's just crazy. We're going to finish up with a little bit of a depth chart talk that just came out as well for today. Before we do that, Ryan, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you?
Yeah, you can find my work at Syracuse.com and NYUp.com. You can find me on most social media sites at Ryan Talbot Bills. You can find the Shout Buffalo Football podcast on all your favorite podcast platforms.
Yeah, and I will go in as far as saying that not only are you just awesome to follow, you're super interactive, but you have great like sources and stuff like that. When you break something, it generally does not fall through. And you and I have talked back and forth about news that I've had in the past, and I've sent it to you, and you've been like, I'm not so sure about that one. But then there's other times that I've verified it with you, and you've posted it. So you just do a really, really super good job. So everybody out there, go follow Ryan, because it's a good follow. Not that Matt isn't, but I'd follow, if you're going to follow one of the two, follow Ryan, not Matt. Don't tell him I said that. Just kidding. Looking at this depth chart that was just released by the Buffalo Bills. Now, obviously the first one that is interesting is the one that I just said. Cole Bishop is slated as the other starting safety when coach, said today that he's about to be in trouble because he's going to be too far behind because he can't get on the football field and he needs to be on the football field. Yada, yada, yada. And Ray Davis being the third string kicker, also kind of fun there. Somebody someplace is having a little bit of fun with us, which is good. What else? Was there anything else in this depth chart that kind of stuck out to you this week? No change at quarterback. Trubisky still over Mike White. Anything in here that kind of caught your attention?
No, and oddly enough, right before we went live, I compared this to last week's, and there really weren't many changes, obviously, other than roster moves, like Trey Herndon is on there now on the depth safety, and they moved Ray Davis down, as you mentioned, because they had signed Caden Davis. So for the most part, the Bills are keeping everything listed the same. So, nothing really there. But the one thing I will say is, based on the preseason game and where they currently have him even on the depth chart, Laviska Shenault's going to be interesting, because I didn't see him finding a way onto this roster with all the injuries at receiver. I said, well, it's either going to be Shavers that gets that opportunity because he makes so much sense in that role. But, Shenault is interesting because he can be a return man. He was also playing just in special teams coverage in general. You can use him as a gadget guy. He has knowledge. He had the 2-point conversion in the preseason game. He was banged up and injured a little bit. He's just an interesting player to me, where I didn't have him on my initial 53-man roster. I'm probably going to do one after the second preseason game. I didn't do one after the first. But I'm going to really be watching his role against the Bears, paying attention to what comes out of the joint practice, because he could be a sneaky player that ends up on this roster.
Yeah, Laviska Shenault, I felt like he had a good football game. And not only did he have a good football game, he's a big body. His 40 time was quick too, wasn't it? Wasn't he fast? Isn't that what kind of elevated him up the draft list?
I can't remember that, but he was just that. I'm sure it had to play a part in it, because I remember the draft class that he was in. He was going to be like this gadget guy, could do a little bit of everything. I was, at the time, I thought that he would be an interesting pick for the Bills.
He ran a 4.39.
Okay, yeah, and his career hasn't panned out that way. Although early on, he did put up some decent stats in his career.
Yeah, it's definitely, and it's par for the course. It's always wide receiver that somebody is the darling, right? There's always one guy that kind of, and then it's like, and then the depth chart comes out, or the game day roster, not the game day, the season roster comes out, and it's like, oh, they kept 5 guys. And if you look at 5, Palmer, Shakir, Coleman making this football team. And then you assume Elijah Moore and Curtis Samuel. There's a lot of people down on Elijah Moore right now. It was a preseason game, and look who was thrown to him. I don't think he should be, but Tyrell Shavers is making a reason. You got to wonder, they might be thinking about 6. And is it between Shenault and Shavers? And is Shenault ahead because of the return ability, because of the special teams ability, and how close are they, right, as a wide receiver?
Right. It's fascinating because at the same time they have Cotterington listed as the kick returner and punt returner, but does he add value at the cornerback position? I would argue no. He's so far down that depth chart where the times he got in last year in blowout games, you could see why he wasn't drafted, why he wasn't a UDFA. He went the same path as Joe Andreessen, where he had to go to a rookie minicamp for the Jets before they even signed him to a deal. Explosive, had some really good moments and nice returns for the Bills, but they're in this weird spot with him where can you justify one of 53 spots just for a return man?
Yeah. And Codrington is, was he listed as a nickel corner last year?
That I don't remember. It would make sense, though, that they may have put him there on the depth chart.
This depth chart, that I guess we're looking for suspicious activity. Jordan Hancock as the nickel corner second string. You'd think that Cam would be there, but maybe not. Because we know that the safety positions are interchangeable from Micah and Jordan being here, that even they said that, like, you could flip-flop us, like, the responsibility. Same thing with the linebacker position. Speaking of which, so the last thing that we're going to talk about, and I brought this up to Dan Fates last week, and it didn't catch any fire. I did research when last week's depth chart came out back 2 or 3 seasons, I can't remember what, and the Bills have traditionally always put out a depth chart in a nickel 4-2 defense, 2 linebackers. Last week and this week, we are looking at a traditional 4-3 defense with 3 linebacker positions. First thoughts.
I don't think they're necessarily going to just roll out in a 4-3 this year, but I think there's going to be games where they do want to lean on that at times. And I guess week 1 could be a good matchup against the Ravens if you're really going to be gung-ho about trying to stop the run. But then you create your own problems with Lamar Jackson passing the ball, running the ball, etc. I think that they want to be able to show that they're able and capable of playing a 4-3 in the right matchup or situation. So maybe they're laying it out that way for that reason. Maybe they just didn't want to have this really long 4th, 5th, 6th string linebacker type deal. They only have the 2 listed. I don't know the rhyme or reason for it, but obviously they do have a lot of trust in Dorian Williams being that third guy. Joe Andreessen has had a really nice spring and summer. I thought it was a little bizarre that he was kind of playing behind Balin Spector at times. Where, Spector gets hurt again. It's been the story of his career, and now he's waived, and they just did the injury settlement with him. So he's solid there too. But then the depth does get a little bit shaky thereafter. Shaq Thompson's only played 6 games in 2 years, and the last 2 years, I should say. And Keonta Jenkins was playing over Eddie Ulofoshio last weekend in that preseason game, which definitely raised some eyebrows.
Yeah, I was just hoping somebody would grab it and ask coach about it, and he probably would pass it off as being no big deal, which effectively you did as well. But still, it's interesting because they have not done this in a long time.
True.
And on the Balin Spector thing, not that it necessarily matters. I found it a little, and I'll let you go after this one. I found it a little strange that it was, hey, we need these second level guys at linebacker to stay healthy already. Balin Spector gets hurt again. They let him go. Meanwhile, your first string guys can't stay healthy.
Right. When we mention that about Balin Spector every year, the guy can't stay healthy, you can really point at Terrell Bernard, unfortunately, and how he gets dinged up a lot. And sometimes he's missing a few games. Sometimes he's just playing at less than 100%. Part of that is because he's an undersized linebacker. And when Matt Milano first came out, he was a safety turn linebacker at Boston College. And they like guys that can fly around, move around quite a bit, sideline to sideline. But those are also the smaller players that do get banged up. And it could be a problem for this team. Matt Milano has had an unbelievable summer. He's been looking like the Matt Milano of old. But the injuries last year were concerning. And this is still a position where I feel better about it than I did in the spring, but you're one injury away from it being a red flag for this team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely love having you on the show, Ryan. Great job. Great stuff today. Any final thoughts before I get us out of here?
No, final thoughts. Looking forward to roster cutdown day here in a few weeks. So these next 2 games, the snap counts when people play, That's going to be big for the guys that are going to be like in the mix for one of those final 2-3 spots.
Yep. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning into the On the Beat program here on the Overreaction Sports Network, presented by FanDuel. Do me a favor, go follow Ryan Talbot on all socials and tune into all of his stuff. They do a great job. But for me, for John, for Jerry, and for Ryan, well, love you guys. Appreciate you. Go Bills.